Erev Tov, everyone. Erev Tov and Hag Chanukah Sameach. Yes, Chanukah, the second day of Chanukah. And I don't know if you can see. Yeah, I guess you can. You can see the our Hanukkah in the background, burning with its two lights. So it is Monday night. It is 8 p.m. here on the east side of the United States, here in the diaspora. This is the Maimon Beit Knesset. Therefore, it must be Zeyde's Story Corner. That's right, Zeyde's Story Corner. So we're going to pick up where we left off last week with more stories and something a little special. Something a little special. What would that be? Well, you'll see. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we will see. Let's check and see who we have in the chat room. We have Donald. We have Adrian. Adrian, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Adrian, our old friend. We have Richard. We have Kelsey Lynn. Marshall is with us. And Reb Moshe Tzafat. And good to have you here and have everybody here. And those of you who are watching in the background who can't get into the chat room, we know that you're out there watching, and we're hoping that you will someday be able to join us in the chat room. Olga has just joined us, so more to come. Yeah, more to come. Yeah, so we've got. You enjoying Hanukkah so far? Well, of course I am. I love Hanukkah. Yeah, well, yeah, I think we all love Hanukkah. Anything special? No, not really. Oh, okay. So, anyway, I guess we should probably get on with our stories. We probably should. Yeah, okay. So, let me get you onto your camera. And there we go. I am back on. And you can see this beautiful background back here. So I am at the hotel. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. So, and we have to thank Marshall for this beautiful backdrop that he gave to us so that we have something that look very nice on camera. It's very nice. Very nice. So, anyway, we are going to continue on with our stories. And tonight I have something. Oh, Soshi has joined us. Good to see you, Soshi. Okay, so I have something a little special. It's kind of a story, kind of a poem, kind of a song. So let's get to it. It's something special for Hanukkah, and we will start. Chanukah coming, and Yossi the dragon was thinking what he should do. Go through the shtetl and into the village to pick up a gift or two. For through the shtetl dear Yossi had friends that he loved very much. He thought it'd be fine at Chanukah time to give each a present or such. But Yossi forgotten the very thing that makes a dragon unique. Unlike a horse, a dragon, of course, breathes fire whenever he speaks. Off to town our Yossi went, but woe is me and oh lament. Before the dragon's gelt was spent, he started a tiny fire. He said he was sorry, our Yossi did. He helped put the fire out. The folks forgave him, for he'd been kind, and off he went looking about. Into the toy store did Yossi go, with thoughts of his shtetl friends. I'll buy each a game, he said with a flame. The second fire it was then. This time when the fire was out, the villagers charged along, pursuing Yossi with angry shouts, "Away! Be off! Be gone!" Yossi sparked, "No harm I meant," but from the village he was sent. And woe is me and all lament, no presents for his friends. Yossi was sad as he sat at the edge of the shtetl by and by. No gifts would he have to offer his friends, a tear rolled from his eye. A storm did gather and soon did hit, was a mighty wind that blew, and winter snow did whirl and blow, and he wondered what to do. As Yossi let out the dragon's cry, he opened his mouth so wide that the wind and snow went right down his throat and put out the fire inside. When Yossi realized the fire was out, first a whisper, then a shout, and a laugh to know he could speak without starting another fire. But now it was late ere of Chanukah, he was up and off with a roar. He raced to the village and he cried out, "My fire he am no more!" From shop to shop he then did go, in each he made his choice. Yossi was treated so kindly now, no need to fear his voice. The villagers came to the edge of town, and Yossi waved goodbye. "Come back again if ever you can," they said, and he said that he'd try. Happy Chanukah all did say, as to the shtetl he made his way. Tonight we light the Chanukah flame, and wish happy Chanukah to all. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I work on it very hard. This was a parody. Just so we don't get in any trouble, this was a parody of a song called Darcy the Dragon that was done by Adams and Robertson. So we give them credit because it's a very nice song. So we change it a little bit for Chanukah, huh? Okay. Let us get on to our stories then. Okay. This story is called The Parakeet Named Dreidel. Funny name for a parakeet, huh? Okay. It happened about 10 years ago in Brooklyn, New York, that is. All day long, a heavy snow was falling. Toward evening, the sky cleared and a few stars appeared. A frost set in. It was the 8th day of Chanukah, and my silver Chanukah lamp stood on the windowsill with all the candles burning. It was mirrored in the window pane, and I imagined another lamp outside. My wife, Esther, that's the author's wife, not my wife. My wife's name was Devorah, huh? Okay, so anyway, if you read the book, you would know that. So, okay, we move on. My wife, Esther, was frying potato pancakes. I sat with my son, David, at the table and played dreidel with him. Suddenly, David cried out, "Papa, look!" And he pointed at the window. I looked up and saw something that seemed unbelievable. Outside on the windowsill stood a yellow and green bird, watching the candles. In a moment, I understood what had happened. A parakeet had escaped from its home somewhere and flown out into the cold street and landed on my windowsill, perhaps attracted by the light. A parakeet is native to warm climate, and it cannot stand the cold and frost for very long. I immediately took steps to save the bird from freezing. First, I carried away the Chanukah lamp so that the bird would not burn itself when it entered in. Then I opened the window and with a quick wave of my hand shoot the parakeet inside. The whole thing took only a few seconds. In the beginning, the frightened bird flew from wall to wall. It hit itself against the ceiling and for a while hung from the crystal prism on the chandelier. David tried to calm it. "Don't be afraid, little bird. We are your friends." Presently, the bird flew toward David and landed on his head, as though it had been trained and was accustomed to people. David began to dance and laugh with joy. My wife in the kitchen heard the noise and came out to see what had happened. When she saw the bird on David's head, she asked, "Where did you get a bird all of a sudden?" "Mama, it just came into our window." "To the window in the middle of winter? Papa saved its life." The bird was not afraid of us. David lifted his hand to his forehead, and the bird settled on his finger. Esther placed a saucer of millet and a dish of water on the table, and the parakeet ate and drank. It saw the dreidel and began to push it with its beak. David exclaimed, "Look, the bird is playing dreidel." David soon began to talk about buying a cage for the bird and also giving it a name. But Esther and I reminded him that the bird was not ours. We would try to find the owners who probably missed their pet and were worried about what happened to it in the icy weather. David said, "Meanwhile, let's call it Dreidel." That night, Dreidel slept on a picture frame and woke us in the morning with its singing. The bird stood on the frame, its plumage brilliant in the purple light of the rising sun, shaking as in prayer, whistling, twittering, and talking all at the same time. The parakeet must have belonged to a house where Yiddish was spoken, because we heard it say, "Zeyde, ge schlafen." Zeyde, go to sleep. Then these simple words uttered by the tiny creature filled us with wonder and delight. The next day, I posted a notice in the elevators of the neighboring houses. It said that we found a Yiddish-speaking parakeet. When a few days passed and no one called, I advertised in the newspaper for which I wrote, but a week went by and no one claimed the bird. Only then did the dreidel become ours. We bought a large cage with all the feedings and toys that a bird might want, but because Chanukah is a festival of freedom, we resolved never to lock the cage. Dreidel was free to fly around the house whenever he pleased. The man at the pet shop had told us that the bird was a male. 9 years passed, and Dreidel remained with us. We became more attached to him from day to day. In our house, Dreidel learned scores of Yiddish, English, and Hebrew words. David taught him to sing a Hanukkah song, and there was always a wooden dreidel in the cage for him to play with. When I wrote on my Yiddish typewriter, Dreidel would cling to the index finger of either my right or my left hand, jumping acrobatically with every letter I wrote. Esther often joked that Dreidel was helping me write and that he was entitled to half my earnings. Our son David grew up and entered college. One winter night, he went to a Chanukah party. He told us that he would be home late. And Esther and I went to bed early. We had just fallen asleep when the telephone rang. It was David. As a rule, he is quiet and composed, young man. This time he spoke so excitedly we could barely understand what he was saying. It seemed that David had told the story of our parakeet to his fellow students at the party, and a girl named Zelda Rosen had exclaimed, "I am Miss Zeyde. We lost our parakeet 9 years ago." Zelda and her parents lived not far from us, but they had never seen the notice in the newspaper or the ones posted in the elevators. Zelda was now a student and a friend of David's. She had never visited us before, although our son often spoke about her to his mother. We slept little that night. The next day, Zelda and her parents came to see their long-lost pet. Zelda was a beautiful and gifted girl. David often took her to the theater and to the museums. Not only did the Rosens recognize their bird, but the bird seemed to recognize his former owners. The Rosens used to call him Zip Zip, and because the parakeet heard them say Zip Zip, he became flustered and started to fly from one member of the family to the other, screeching and flapping his wings. Both Zelda and her mother cried when they saw their beloved bird alive. The father stared silently. Then he said, "We have never forgotten our Tzip-Tzip." I was ready to return the parakeet to his original owners, but Esther and David argued that they could never part with Dreidel. It was also not necessary, because that day David and Zelda decided to get married after their graduation from college. So, Dreidel is still with us, always eager to learn new words and new games. When David and Zelda marry, they will take Dreidel to their home. Zelda often said Dreidel was our matchmaker. On Hanukkah, he always gets a gift: a mirror, a ladder, a bathtub, a swing, or a jingle bell. He has even developed a taste for potato pancakes, as befits a parakeet named Dreidel. And there you have it, the story of Dreidel the parakeet. Okay. We move on to our next story, called Lemel and Zippah. This story was told me by my mother, and I'm retelling it here, word for word, as closely as possible. Once there was a well-to-do countryman named Tobias. And he and his wife, Leah, had a daughter, Zippah, who was a fool the likes of which you couldn't find in the entire region. When Zippah grew up, marriage brokers began to propose matches for her, but as soon as the prospective groom came to look her over and she began to spout her nonsense, he would flee from her. It appeared that Zippah would be left an old maid. The husband and wife went to ask advice of a rabbi who told them, marriages are made in heaven. Since Zippah is a fool, heaven will surely provide a foolish groom for her. Just ask around about a youth who's a bigger fool than your daughter, and when the two fools marry, they'll be happy together. The parents were pleased with this advice. They went to the matchmaker and told him to find the biggest fool in the Lublin province for their daughter. They promised the matchmaker double the fee usually paid for arranging a match. The matchmaker knew that no city contained so many fools as Chelm. So that is where he headed. He came to a house and saw a youth sitting in front of it crying. The matchmaker asked, "Young fellow, why are you crying?" The youth said, "My mother baked a whole dish of blintzes for Shavuot. When she went out to buy some sour cream for the blintzes, she warned me, Lemel, don't eat the blintzes until Shavuot. I promised her that I wouldn't, but the moment she left the house, I got a great urge for a blintz, and I ate one. And after the first, I got the urge for another, and the third, and the fourth. And before you know it, I finished the whole dish of blintzes. I was so busy eating blintzes, I didn't see the cat was watching me. Now, I'm very much afraid that when Mother comes back, the cat will tell her what I've done, and Mother will pinch me and call me what she calls me anyhow: fool, oaf, dummy, ninny, simp, clod, donkey. This Lemel is made for Zippah, the matchmaker thought. Aloud he said, I know how to speak the cat language. I'll tell the cat to say nothing, and when I give a cat an order, he listens, for I am the king of the cats. Hearing these words, Lemel commenced to dance with joy. The matchmaker began to utter fabricated words to the cat. Whatever came to his lips, petche, metche, ketche, letche. Then he asked Lemel, do you want a bride? Certainly. I have just the bride for you. No one like her in the whole world. Zippah is her name. Does she have red cheeks? Lemel asked. I like a girl with red cheeks and long braids. She has everything you want. Lemel began to dance anew and clap his hands. At that moment, his mother came in with a pot of sour cream. When she saw her son dancing, she asked, "Lemel, what's the big celebration about?" And Lemel replied, "I ate up all the blintzes, and I was afraid the cat would tell you, but this man ordered the cat not to talk." "Dumbass adult," the mother screamed. "What will I do with you? What girl would want to marry such a dunderhead?" "Mama, I have a bride already," Lemel exclaimed. "Her name is Zipa, and she has long cheeks and red braids." Long cheeks and red braids, that's what it says. Okay, well, he is a fool. I guess that's all right then. Okay. A few days later, Lemel and Zipa drew up their articles of engagement. They could not write their names, and Lemel signed with 3 dots and Zipa with 3 dashes. Lemel got a dowry of 100 gulden. Since Lemel didn't understand about money and didn't know the difference between one banknote and another, Zipa's father wrapped the 5 gulden notes in white paper and the 10 gulden notes in blue paper. And that's where we're going to stop for the moment. And we will come back after our break, and we will find out what happens to this Lemel and this Zipa. Okay. You're finding it all right? Yeah, I'm working on it here. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, so we are going to take our break, and when we return, we will find out what happens to the 2 fools. So, everyone, stay tuned. We'll be back.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
It's intermission time, folks, so hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right over to our refreshment center for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, mouth-watering goodies, everything from a snack to a delicious full meal. At our refreshment center, you'll find a large variety of goodies to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, or your sweet tooth. So hurry, hurry, hurry. Visit our refreshment center now. The show starts in 5 minutes. The show starts in 4 minutes. show starts in 3 minutes. The show starts in 2 minutes. The show starts in 1 minute. And now, on with the show.
And we are back, just as we said we would be. Okay. So, let us get on with our story. Oh, Regina has joined us. Good to see you, Regina. Okay. Let's see. Did we miss anybody else? No, it looks like we got everybody else. So, okay, let us go on with our story. Okay, so Zippa's father had wrapped the 5 golden notes in the white paper and the 10 golden notes in blue paper. That's where we left off. Okay, so we go on. Lemel also got a silver watch, but since he couldn't read figures when he wanted to know the time, he stopped a person in the street and asked him what time it is. At the same time, he added, "I can't see because I've lost my glasses." This was what his mother had told him to use as an excuse. When the day of the wedding came, Zippa began to weep bitterly. Her mother asked her, "Zippa, why are you crying?" Zippa replied, "I'm ashamed to marry a stranger." The mother said, "I married a stranger too." After the wedding, the husband and wife become close and are no longer strangers. But Zippa countered, "You, Mama, married Papa, but I have to marry a complete stranger." The mother said, "Zippa, you're a big fool, but Your groom is a fool too, and together you'll be, God willing, two happy fools. After lengthy discussions, Zipa allowed herself to be escorted to the wedding canopy. Some time after the wedding, Zipa's father said to his son-in-law, Limmel, your father is a merchant. I'm a merchant, and I want you to be a merchant too. I've given you a dowry. Use it to go into business. What's a merchant? Limmel asked, and his father-in-law said, a merchant is someone who buys cheap and sells dear. That's how he makes a profit. Take the dowry, go to Lublin, and if you spot a bargain there, buy it as cheaply as possible, then come back here and sell it at a high price. Limmel did as his father-in-law ordered. Zipa gave him a chicken wrapped in cabbage leaves for the road. In the wagon, Limmel got hungry and wanted to eat the chicken, but it was raw. Zipa's mother had told her to give her husband a chicken, but since she didn't say anything about cooking it, Zipa had given Limmel a raw chicken. Limmel slept at an inn. He was very hungry. They asked him what he wanted to eat, and he said, give me everything you have, and I'll eat until I'm full. Said and done. First they gave him a glass of wine, then another, when an appetizer of tripe with calf's foot. Limmel ate with lots of bread and horseradish. Then they served him a bowl of noodle soup. After Limmel had finished one bowl of soup, he asked for another. Then they served Limmel a huge portion of meat with groats, cabbage, potatoes, and carrots. This stuff is making me hungry. I tell you, I'm starving now. Okay, can we just get on with the story? You can eat after we finish here. Okay, I expect something good. Potato pancakes. I think potato pancakes sounds really good. Okay, let's just finish up with the story. Okay, while we get back on. Okay. Then they served him a compote of prunes, apples, pears, and raisins. Oh, man, this is really torture. I'm so hungry. My stomach is actually growling. Okay, anyway. Limmel gulped it all down, and yet his hunger was still not sated. Finally, they served him tea with sponge cake and honey cake. Limmel drank the tea and ate the cake, but somehow the hunger still gnawed at him. The innkeeper said, I hope that by now you are full. But Limmel replied, no, I'm still hungry. The innkeeper took a cookie out of the cabinet and said, try this. Limmel ate the cookie and immediately felt sated. He said, now I'm full. Had I known that you can get full from a cookie, I needn't have ordered all those dishes. Anyway, the innkeeper probably saw that he was dealing with a dolt. He himself was a swindler and said, now it's too late, but if you ever come here again, I'll give you such a cookie right off the bat, and you won't have to order the other dishes. Now, be so good as to pay for the meal. Lemel took from his purse the banknotes rolled in white paper and those rolled in blue paper and said, "One paper contains 5 gulden bills, and the other the 10 gulden bills, but I don't remember which is which." The innkeeper unrolled the 2 stacks, and as befits a swindler, he told Lemel the 10 gulden was a 5 gulden bill. He also swindled Lemel with the change. In Lublin, Lemel went from store to store seeking bargains, but somehow there were no bargains to be found. Laying in bed at night, Lemel began to think about the miraculous cookie which made you instantly full. "If I knew how to bake such cookies, I'd be rich," Lemel said to himself. "There isn't enough food in Helm. The people are hungry, and everyone would welcome such cookies." He himself had felt sated for nearly 24 hours after eating this cookie. The next day, Lemel headed home, and he stopped at the same inn. He ordered the miraculous cookie, but the innkeeper said, "I just now served the last one of them to a guest. But I can sell you the recipe. Believe me, when you bake these cookies in Helm, you'll sell them for a big profit, and you'll become as rich as a Rothschild." "What does this recipe cost?" The innkeeper named a high price, but Lemel decided that by baking such cookies, he could get back all the money that he would pay, with a huge profit beside. So he bought the recipe. Having already seen that Lemel couldn't read, write, or even determine the value of a coin, the innkeeper composed the following recipe. You might want to write this down, okay? I give you a minute just so you get it all down so you can write it, okay? Okay, so here we go. We start now. Take 3 quarts of duck's milk, 5 pounds of flour ground from iron, 2 pounds of cheese made from snow, 1 pound of fat from a flintstone, and half a pound of feathers from a red cow, and a 1/4 pound of juice squeezed from copper. Are you getting all this? Throw it all in a pot made of wax and let it cook for 3 days and 3 nights over a fire of a potato tree. After 3 days, knead a dough out of the mixture. Cut out the cookies with a knife made of butter, and bake them in an oven made of ice till they turn red, brown, and yellow. Then dig a pit, throw in the whole mess, and put up a board with a sign over it reading, "When you send a fool to market, the merchants rejoice." After Lemel finished paying for the meal and the recipe, he barely had enough left for the fare home. But he was pleased with the bargain he had made. When he came home, he told Zippah about the miraculous cookie. She began to clap her hands and dance. But the joy didn't last long. When Lemel's father-in-law came home and read the recipe, he became furious and screamed, "Lemel, you've been swindled!" Zippa promptly began to cry. Zippa's mother cried along with her. After a while, Lemel said, "All my troubles stem from the fact that I can't read. I must learn to read. And the quicker, the better." "Yes, my son," Zippa's father said, "a merchant must be able to read and write." Since there were no teachers in the village, Lemel resolved to go to Lublin to learn to read. Again, the father-in-law gave him money for the fare and to pay for the lessons. In Lublin, Lemel went down Lewarto Street to seek out a teacher. He walked past a store displaying eyeglasses in the window. He looked inside and saw a customer put on a pair of glasses and glance into a book while the proprietor asked, "Now can you read?" "Yes, now I can read well," the customer said. Lemel thought to himself, "Since putting on glasses enables you to read, what do I need with a teacher?" Lemel had no urge to study. He yearned to go home to Tzipa. He went into a store and said to the proprietor, "Give me a pair of glasses so I can read." The proprietor asked what strength glasses he had worn before, and Lemel said, "I don't know anything about that. Let me test them." The proprietor handed him a pair of glasses and opened a book before him. Lemel looked into the book and said, "I can't read." "I'll give you stronger glasses," the proprietor said. Lemel tested the second pair and said, "I still can't read." The proprietor offered him many different glasses to try, but Lemel kept giving the same answer. He still couldn't read. After a while, the proprietor said, "Forgive me, but maybe you can't read at all." "If I could read, I wouldn't have come to you in the first place," Lemel said. "In that case, you must first go to a teacher and learn to read. You can't learn to read from putting on a pair of glasses," the storekeeper said. Lemel grew depressed by the answer. He had prepared to put on the glasses and go back home. After a while, Lemel decided that he couldn't go on without Zippa. He missed her terribly. He went to seek out a teacher, not so much to learn how to read as to have the teacher write a letter home for him. He soon found one. When Lemel asked how long it would take for him to learn to read, the teacher said, "It could take a year, but not less than a half year." Lemel grew very sad. He said to the teacher, "Could you write a letter for me? I want to send a letter to my Tzippa." "Yes, I could write a letter for you. Tell me what to write." Lemel began to dictate. "Dear Tzippa, I'm already in Lublin. I thought if you put on glasses you could read, but the proprietor of the store said the glasses don't help. The teacher says it would take half a year or a whole year to teach me to read, and that I would have to stay here in Lublin the whole time. Dear Zipala, I love you so much that when I'm away from you for one day, I must die of longing. If I am without you for half a year, I'll have to die maybe 100 times or even more. Therefore, I've decided to come home. If my father-in-law, your father, will agree, I hope to find some kind of work for which you don't have to read or write. Lovingly, your Lemel. When Zippa received the letter and her father read it to her, she burst into tears and dictated a letter to Lemel, which read the follows. Dear Lemel, when you don't see me for a day, you must die. But when I don't see you for a minute, I go crazy. Yes, my dear Lemel, come back. I don't need a writer, but a good husband, and later a house full of children, 6 boys and 6 girls. Father will find some kind of work for you. Don't wait, but come straight home, because if you come back dead and find me crazy, it wouldn't be so good for either of us. Your devoted Zippa. When the teacher read Zippa's letter to Lemel, he burst out crying. That very same day he started for home. Before getting into the wagon in Lublin, he went to the market to buy a present for Zippa. He went into a mirror store with the intention of buying her a mirror. At the same time, he told the storekeeper everything that had happened to him, how he had been swindled with the cookie, and how he had been unable to learn to read with the glasses. The storekeeper was a prankster and dishonest as well. You know, I would stay away from Lublin. If I was them, I would definitely stay away from Lublin. But that's just me. Anyway. He said, such people as you, Lemel, and your wife, Zippa, should be many. I have a potion which, when you drink it, will make you become double, triple, quadruple. How would you like to be 10 Lemels and 10 Zippas, who would all love each other? 1 Lemel and 1 Zippa could stay home all day. Another set could go to market and buy goods. A third set could take a walk. A fourth set could eat blintzes with sour cream. And a 5th set could go to Lublin and learn to read and write. How is this possible? Lemel asked. Drink the potion, and you will see for yourself. The storekeeper gave Lemel a glass of plain water and told him to drink merely 1 drop of it. Then he led Lemel into a room where 2 mirrors hung facing each other, one of which was tilted slightly to the side. When Lemel came into the room, he saw not 1 Lemel in the mirror, but a whole row of Lemels. He walked over to the other mirror, and there were as many Lemels there too. The storekeeper stood by the door and said, "Well, did I deceive you?" "Oh, I can't believe my own eyes," Lemel exclaimed. "How much is this potion?" "It's very expensive," the storekeeper said. "But for you, I'll make it cheap. Give me all the money you have except for your fare home. You've snagged a terrific bargain." Lemel paid on the spot, and the storekeeper gave him a big bottle filled with water. He told him, "You and your tzippa need only 1 drop a day. This bottle will last you for years. If it gets used up, you can always come back to Lublin and I'll refill it for you for free. Wait, I'll give you a written guarantee." The storekeeper took out a sheet of paper and wrote on it, "God loves fools. That's why he made so many of them." When Lemel came home and his father-in-law saw the bottle of water and read the note, he realized that Lemel had been swindled again. But when Lemel saw Tzippa, his joy was so intense he forgot all his troubles. He kissed and hugged her and cried, "I don't need many tzippas. 1 tzippa is enough for me, even if I should live to be 1,000. And I don't need many lemels. 1 lemel is enough for me, even if I should live to be 1,000,000, exclaimed Tzippa. Yes, Lemel and Tzippa were both fools, but they possessed more love than all the sages. After a while, Lemel bought a horse and a wagon and became a coachman. For this, he didn't have to know how to read or write. He drove passengers to and from Helm, and everyone liked him for his punctuality, his friendliness, and for the love he showed his horse. Tzippa began to have children and bore Lemel 6 boys and 6 girls. The boys took after Tzippa, and the girls took after Lemel. But they were all good-natured fools, and they all found mates in Helm. Lemel and Tzippa lived happily to a ripe old age, long enough to enjoy a whole tribe of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. And that's the end of the story, and next week we shall start a new one. I hope you all have a wonderful Chanukah, and that you will be back here tomorrow night when the rabbis continue their discussion about the wine. I hope you'll be here. And don't forget that on Wednesday night is the Torah study in depth. Until then, my dear friends, on next time, we will say Hag Hanukkah Sameach and Laila Tov.